All right, for everybody who's joined, thank you so much for joining for this year's Future Postdoc Seminar. I am very happy to introduce Dr. Qinghua Xu today. She received her Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from Wuhan University and her PhD in Polymer Chemistry and Physics under Professor Shui-Si Chen at the Changchun Institute of Applied Chemistry with the Chinese Academy of Sciences. There, her research focused on the synthesis of new amino acid monomers, as well as design and preparation of hydrogels for use in drug delivery and cell culture and behavior. She furthered her knowledge in the area of amino acids for drug delivery as a postdoc under Professor Qi-Cheng Xu at Cornell University between 2017 and 2020. And following this, she joined us here at Purdue this year and is working with Professor Liu as a postdoc. And here she's focusing on natural polymer-based hydrogels and in vitro tissue engineering. And today she'll discuss her experiences both finding a postdoc position and her life as a postdoc. And as far as questions, I know it's a little weird now that we're on WebEx, but she's going to pause during her presentation for some questions, and you can also feel free to post them in the chat or ask towards the end. So with that, I'll pass it to you, Dr. Xu.
Okay, I will start to share my screen about the so can you see the screen now, the slide?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Qinghua, and it's my great honor to share my postdoc research experiences here today. So there are several things I'm going to talk about today. So first, my research experiences, which Cindy has already introduced a little bit about that. And the second thing is, why do I find the postdoc and the second postdoc positions, and how did I find these postdoc positions? And the last, the balance between postdoc or research work and life. So first of all, I want to give you an introduction of my research experiences. I think the research experiences started from the PhD research. It took me like 5.5 years to get my PhD degree, and I got my PhD degree in China. So my major is polymer chemistry, actually. So my PhD lab is mainly research. The mainly research area is development of novel biomaterials for biomedical applications, including drug delivery and tissue engineering. My first project is like a totally synthesis of new materials, like a synthesis of new lysine monomers and incorporate them to different kinds of polyamino acids, and then modified or functionalized these polyamino acids by click chemistry. I think these are a lot of synthesis work. So synthesis of monomers and polymers and different modifications. Actually, this project it took me like about 2 years to complete all the experiments and write the paper. Actually, I think that's a really long time. A very big project. Maybe more experienced graduate students, it just need several months for them to complete that. But I think the first project should be always the hardest one for like graduate student who is very new to the research. And I think during these 2 years, I really learned a lot of things from this project, like different kinds of characterizations of materials, and like how to read different kinds of papers that related to your research, and also how to design your experiments and make your study a completed one. After this project, and I feel like I was interested in biomedical applications. So for other projects I worked on during my PhD, after discussed with my supervisor, we designed more experiments based on bio-related experiments, like cell-related experiments, in vivo evaluations of materials. I think all these synthetic skills and bio-related experiments skills are very helpful for me to find my postdoc positions. So at the last year, I think I started to think about after graduation, should I continue to do research, or should I just find a job in like a company or find some other jobs? I think I'm during that time. I feel like doing research is something that's very interesting, and my PhD lab is a really big lab. There are many, about 20 graduate students and many staffs. So many of the previous graduated PhD students, they choose to continue to do postdoc research, and some after the postdoc research, some of them have already find a position in some universities and become a faculty, a PI. I think this way, I feel like it's a good way for me. So first, after graduation, do postdoc research to gain more experiences, improve my ability in different aspects, like writing papers, doing research independently, and also have more publications. These things are all are very helpful for me to find a position in academia in the future. I think in China, if you got your PhD, if you get your PhD degree, in other countries, especially these developed countries, or you have some abroad working experiences, that's also very helpful for you to find a good position at universities. So I try to find a postdoc position outside of China. Actually, I sent out about 50 emails to different professors that I'm interested in, in different countries, but I only received less than 10 replies. Some just told me, we don't have open positions. Some just say, oh, I have some interested in you, but we can talk more about that. And here here is Professor Chu at Purdue. Whose lab I worked in. He has some cooperation with my PhD lab actually, and my supervisor learned that he had open postdoc position at that time, and my next supervisor just referred me to Professor Chu at Cornell. We sent emails for several times to learn more about each other, about the projects, and I think my experiences, my working experiences on amino acid based materials and the bio-related experiments experiences also made Professor Chu thought I'm suitable for the project in his lab, and then he gave me the offer. I joined his group in June 2017, and so the work I worked there in his lab for more than 2 years and 2.5 years. During that time, I worked on 3 projects. One project work independently, 2 projects we have cooperated with our collaborator in Hong Kong Baptist University. For our side, we are more focused on material design and synthesis and characterizations of these materials at cell level. But our collaborator, they have a lot of experiences in vivo studies, and I think improved our studies a lot. So the drawback is that these two groups are far from each other. It's very hard for us to communicate face in face, and it's also very hard for us to have access to to each other's facilities. But overall, I think the collaboration is really good. Since I do work at Cornell for a really long time, I think I can talk a little about the life at Cornell. So first, all Cornell is like Cornell campus is really very beautiful. There's also a tower at Cornell, but this tower I think is bigger than the one at Purdue. You can climb to the top of the tower, and from there you can see the whole campus and the whole town. And there are also many. It's not like Purdue. There are lots of mountains, around the campus. Also a lot of lakes, gorges, and waterfalls in campus or outside of the campus. I think this museum should be very famous, because before I came here, I heard of came to Cornell. I heard about this museum. It's a Johnson Museum of Art. The building itself is designed by a very famous designer, and there are a lot of collections in this museum. If you have chance to go to Cornell, you can go there to have a look. There are also some traditional events, I think, at Cornell. This is the firework. This is the firework and laser show. Every September during the homecoming days. It's free for everyone, but this year it has been it was canceled. That as a postdoc, postdoc is staff, so postdoc has some benefits as a staff. You can watch all the games in the campus for free except for this ice hockey games. I think that's because the ice hockey teams, both men's and women's ice hockey teams, are very strong at Cornell. The games are always very exciting. Many people want to watch that. You have to pay that. After work, after work about 2 years, most of the experiments have completed. And we after discussed with Professor Xu, we also think about start some new projects. We do some primary experiments, but the results are not so good. And if I want to find some new project to start, it will take another maybe 1 to 2 years to complete a project. So I'm started to think about should I move to another places to do some new things. And another important reason is my husband also works at Purdue. We have worked in different places for a long time. If we have a chance to live together, it should be very good for both of us. So based on all these things, I sent emails to some professors at Purdue or to professors at universities that around Purdue, maybe 1 to 2 hours drive. Finally, I get the offer from Professor Liu in our department. I interested in her project natural polymers based hydrogels and in vitro tissue modeling. And there are something new for me. I think I did learn something, can learn a lot of different things. If I compare these two labs I have worked in, I think there are some differences. First, Professor Xu has been a professor for a really long time. He is about 70 years old. He will retire very soon. During I worked in his lab. I feel like Professor Chu only came to the lab 2 to 3 days every week. They didn't spend all his time like at work, in the lab or in managing the lab. We have, since the lab has developed for like more than 40 years, they have the lab specific materials and research areas. What I worked on is like do some modification to these materials and find new applications to these materials. So like we are not going to do something very new. The good thing is we have individual meeting with Professor Chu every 3 to 4 weeks. So we have some freedom on plan the time, plan the experiments, and Professor Chu has enough funding, so we can just go ahead if we want to try some experiments or do some tests. The drawback is that not give you give you some guidance or suggestions on some problems you have during the experiment. We only have several times of group meeting, even though I stayed there for more than 2.5 years. Sometimes it's hard to learn how other group members progress. We can learn very little things from each other. Also, as a postdoc, I do find that there are some differences as a postdoc and as a graduate student. As a postdoc, it's a full-time work. You spend all your time in the lab. So before you join the lab, you have already been well trained. So you are supposed to know many things. You can start to do experiments right after you joined in, and you, like me, as a postdoc, have to teach other graduate students or visiting students. But it's hard for me to learn from someone else. Yes, and I think Professor Liu, she's a young professor, and there are some well-developed research areas in Professor Liu's lab, Professor Liu also wants to develop some new research areas. So there are new things bring in. And we have individual meeting every week. So if we have any questions, we can communicate with her in time and get some suggestions. I think that's very helpful. We also have group meetings. And if you need to give presentations, you can get suggestions or comments from other group members very well, which is very helpful to improve your presentations. Professor Liu, I think she's also a person to make a very solid plan before you do any experiments. I think it's also helpful for you to prepare enough before you start your experiments, like avoid doing repeated experiments or waste of time, waste of money. I think that's the part of the my research experiences in different places. If you have any question, you can just ask me. If not, I can continue. So next, so since I find my postdoc position at Professor Chu's lab, because I think a big reason is that we have cooperation with Professor Chu, and my supervisor referred me to him directly. But for I find the postdoc position in Professor Liu's lab, I think maybe it's maybe helpful for you if you plan to find a postdoc position. I plan to find a new position. I decide to find a new postdoc positions. I try to then I start to find out which professors I can contact. Do they have open positions? I find that professor have 2 open postdoc positions. I think on the webpage, the department or the college, I don't remember very clear. I sent an email to Professor Liu, just said, "Oh, hi, Professor Liu, I'm very interested. I learned that you have open positions. I'm really interested in that, and I think I'm suitable for that positions. Can I talk more about that with you?" But I didn't get any reply after waited for several weeks. It happened a lot, right? So then Professor Du, also the professor in our department, who I know, and he also knows me. He helped me to send an email to Professor Liu, and since they are colleagues, I think it's easy for them to contact with each other. Just send the email to Professor Liu, "Hi, Professor Liu, there is a person who is very interested in your lab, and her background fit very well with your research. Do you want to have a look of her a CV or something?" Then right after Professor Liu sent that email, after 1 or 2 days, Professor Liu sent me an email. I heard about you. I heard about you from my colleague. I have open positions. If you're interested in, you can just send me your CV. Then I sent that to her after send emails and communicate a little bit. I think more about my research work. Professor decided to we can have an interview face to face. Since I have already do more than 2 years postdoc at Professor Chu's lab, postdoc and the PhD research works are actually a little different. So before prepare the presentations, I do ask the Professor Liu, which part are you more interested in? So which part do you think I should introduce more? And Professor Liu give me some suggestions. The interview, I think the presentation, first for the presentation, Professor Liu and or other group members, the graduate students, they join together. I give the presentation. After that, they ask me several questions. Then Professor Liu, I think the process is the Professor Liu then let me and the graduate students to talk with each other, to learn more about each other. I think I don't remember, but I think I learned that there are some other candidates for these positions. Then I have a talk with Professor Liu in her office separately for about 30 minutes. I think during that time, Professor Liu just first gave me a more introduction of the research work in our lab in details, and asked me more things about myself, except for the research work, do you have some other experiences mentoring graduate students and graduate students? Do you have experiences in writing proposal and apply for a grant? I think just tell her the truth, and I don't have so many experiences in writing the proposal and apply for the grant actually. So after that, I think during the individual meeting with Professor Liu, I can feel that Professor Liu do interested in me, at least. I'm not sure if she is really satisfied with me. Then after that, I visit lab, walk around and have a look. Then I think that's all for the interview. after went back to Cornell, I just sent an email to Professor Liu to just say thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for the interview. Like I like your lab. The working experiments are good. Or the students are nice. Something like that. And Professor Liu said that we can keep in contact. Then after about 2 weeks, Professor Liu sent me the email. Said like after considered for for a period, I think you are like your background fit very well for our lab. I'd like to give you the offer. You can like think about the offer like for several days to say if you want to accept it. Like after 1 or 2 days, I just replied Professor Liu. I think like your lab is good. The project is interesting. I'd like to accept the offer. After that, I think since I still have some experiments that not completed at Cornell, I was only to discuss these things with Professor Chu at Cornell. Then I discussed with Professor Liu more about when to start in Liu's lab. And since I'm an international postdoc, I think there are also some things like files, like we need to transfer from Cornell to Purdue. That's also lead like 1 month or 2 months. It depends on how fast they do that. I think so. That's how I joined Professor Liu's lab. I think if you want to find a postdoc positions, like you have to plan in advance. Like first of all, you have to know that which groups you want to do the postdoc. You can learn these professors that you are interested in from their published papers, and then go to their lab homepage to learn more about their research and their groups. As I saw the recruitment information on the webpage of the college, I think sometimes these professors, if they have open positions, they may also post the recruitment information on the department or college webpage. I think the most effective way is that if you know some people like a previous lab members, they know some professors, you can ask them to refer you directly. If you want to have the face-to-face communication opportunities with a professor interested in, you can just go to like the seminars or academic conferences and talk with them. I also know that many universities, they posted the recruitment information on their LinkedIn account. There, it's also a good way to learn this kind of information. Like graduate students and undergraduate students at the universities, there are also postdoc organizations like the office of postdoc. I know that both at Purdue and Cornell. At Cornell, we have this office of postdoc. They have many workshops that like how to write a proposal and how to apply for a grant, how to apply for a scholarship. Now, also many activities you can communicate with other postdocs that are around you. This is the information of the post director at Purdue. Since my postdoc positions are all sponsored by the PI, I think I know there are also many postdoc related scholarships. I think if you are interested in, you can just contact her to learn more about that. So the last thing I want to talk about is the balance between work and life. so after worked in lab for so many years, I think like doing experiments will always like require you to work sometimes during the weekend. Maybe you just need to come in to check everything is good, or just change the temperature, or do some things, but you have to come in. Like you have to work long hours and have to repeat some experiments again and again, focus on very tiny details to find why the experiment results is not. The process is like sometimes very boring, and the results may make you feel very frustrated. But sure, the good results can make you happy for a really long time. So when you feel like the experiment makes you feel unhappy or feel frustrated, I think you need to find some other ways to make you happy again, like talk with your family, with your friends, have some delicious food, doing exercise, or travel around just to have a break. So if you plan to do a postdoc, you have to make sure that you are really interested in this doing research. Maybe your future plan is also find a position in academia. This is the postdoc goals from National Postdoc Associations. There are 6 Cs. From my experiences doing research, doing postdoc research, for like 2 years, 3 years, it's a long time. All these abilities you do can improve a lot. Since I'm still a postdoc now, I plan to find a faculty position in academia. But I'm not sure if I can find a satisfied one. I will try that. If not, maybe I will try to find other jobs. It's not so sure for me about the future. And I think that's all about my presentation today, and thank you for all your attention. And if you have any questions that you want to ask, or there anything you are interested in, you can just ask me.
Hey, Qinghua. Thanks for your presentation. I really enjoyed it. I was wondering how your transition was between the first postdoc and the second postdoc. Like how it's going from now to here. Was it easy or was it difficult? And like how did you manage that?
I think the most important, not for like a previous lab, the most important thing is I want to keep a good relationship with my previous boss, right? So I have to discuss with him about all these questions. That something like I plan to leave, we can make a plan of our project and experiments. It's not it's not so responsible if you just leave all of a sudden, right? So actually, I think my boss, like Professor Chu at Cornell, he is not so happy. After I talked to him that I want to leave because I was supposed to work until this in his lab until the end of this year. But based on my situation, I think the old projects I have already like completed nearly all things, all experiments for the new project. We tried, but not so good. So next step, we are going to find some new ideas and try them again. If they are good, we can continue. That's a known process, right? So I just tell him all my thinking. And I also tell him, I have separated with my husband for so long. I want to live together with him. And I think that make him feels like, oh, it's not because of him I don't want to stay there. It's because of my personal reason. Then after after that, I just try my best to complete everything, like prepare enough materials for our collaborator, and like give all the materials to other graduate students and postdoc. I also told him that if there anything of the project, since we complete the experiments, some of the papers are still under preparation, may need some revision, something like I can still do that, and I'm happy to do that. And I think that's like it makes him feel good. Then I think after joining in Professor Liu's lab, in our lab, I think things are different. The projects are totally different. I don't have experiences in working on like collagen, HA, but I think you are like other group members are really nice. I learned that. I think in a short time, that's very helpful.
Thanks.
Yes.
No, that helps answer my question.
Okay. Do you want me to stop sharing the screen?
It doesn't matter, whatever you prefer. I have a question on how, prior to your switching between the two postdoc positions, how was it shifting from being a graduate student to becoming a postdoc? What were the biggest changes that you saw there?
I think there are a lot of changes, actually, especially for international. Like me, I got my PhD in China, then I moved to like the US. So like first my language, there are some barriers. Actually, I think it's at the beginning it's a little hard for me to familiar with the life gear, and I think for the research, that's just during the first half years there are not so many progress, because during when I was a PhD student, if I have a question, I just go to the other group members or the supervisor. I have some questions I want to discuss with you. Can you give me some help? Can you have a look on my when I'm doing the experiments, so you can maybe you can find out what's going wrong with my experiments. But here, as a postdoc at Cornell, like the postdocs is supposed to work all by yourself. Like if you want to learn something, you just go to find someone. No matter, I can like it's hard for me to get help in our group. I have to go outside to find someone like have experiences and ask them, communicate with them. So the professors cannot give you a lot of help. He just asked you, oh, how about the progress? What's the result? Like why so slow? Something like that. I think if I so things are different, the facilities are different, some characterizations are different. If you that takes you for several months or half a year, you're familiar with all these things. Everything will go very well then. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Do you think that the being on your own is similar at both Purdue and Cornell, or do you think that's more professor dependent?
I do think that's professor dependent, actually. I know that postdoc, I think other postdoc also has this kind of feelings, at least some of my friends. As a postdoc, so you are still, you are already well trained. So you know how to design an experiment. You have already have already done seminar experiments before. You can start very quick, but it's still very professor dependent, I think. Like here I think Professor Liu, we have individual meeting very often every week. No matter which questions you have, you can just tell her, and he will give you feedback, her thinkings, or someone he thinks you can ask for help. But I think it's totally like professor dependent, right? Some professors just tell you, oh, I want to do this kind of project. I have this funding. You just find out the whole plans of your of the project and show him. If he thinks, oh, in general, it's fine. You can just go ahead to try different kind of things. Maybe you try 3 different things, and only one of them will you just work on this one. I think here at Professor Liu's lab, we just if we want to start to do some project, first we need to read a lot of papers, or at least know very well of what kind of experiments are you going to do. Make a very solid plan, then you start it. Then you can start. It looks like I think it depends. Like you have 3 ideas, you tried 3, maybe 2 of them are not good. You wasted some time, right? But you tried them. And here we just, if we can figure them out, oh, these 2 may not work good, we are not going to work on that. So we can save some time by not trying these ideas.
Do you think it's important to kind of try and find a postdoc position where the professor's advising style matches you well? Because I know we oftentimes tell the graduate students to match with their professor's advising style, but do you think as a postdoc, you're more limited in your options because you do have to find them all on your own and it is hard to hear back from professors?
Yes. I think if you don't want, so before I joined Professor Chu's lab, I didn't think about these questions. I just think, oh, this project I can do them. Looks different with the project I worked on. So I can do that. I didn't consider these things. Oh, where I work very well, by working together with this professor. If you can choose, I think you should choose you should learn what the professor looks like. If you like the work style, if you don't like, maybe for example, someone also give me some suggestions, oh, you should try to contact these assistant professors because they are new professors. They are very urgent. They want you to make some progress in urgent. So it's easier for you to work out something for these professors, like Professor Chu will retire very soon. Maybe he's not so urgent in publish paper or complete the project. You have to manage all things by yourself, like that. If you think you can handle this, you like more freedom to try different kind of things. It's a good choice to go to this kind of lab. If you think you always need more supporting and suggestions from the professor, it's better to go to labs like Professor Liu.
All right, thank you for answering my questions. We'll leave it for other people to ask more questions now.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I had one question about choosing academic research as opposed to industrial research after your PhD. So what made you choose academic research as opposed to industrial research?
Actually, I find both. I also find a job at the company, but finally I just didn't go there. I think first, like I worked on several different projects during the PhD. The first one is really hard, but the other ones, they do makes me feel I'm somehow interested in doing research. So find a postdoc is a good way to continue to do research and to find a position in academia in the future. And I think, but I'm not so strong in find a postdoc to doing postdoc research. I just think it's fine. It's a good way. I think I mentioned that in our lab, most of the previous PhD students, they choose to do postdoc research, and after do postdoc in the US or in Canada or in Korea, for 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, then they went back. They went back to China. They do find some very good positions at universities. So I know that do postdoc is a very good way if I want to find a position in academia in the future. And then I have the opportunity, professor to give me the offer. I've never been to the US during the previous 27 years. So why not just go outside to have a look?
Thank you.
Hey Chinua, thanks for the talk. It was very interesting. I wanted to ask, how far ahead did you start planning about your postdoc during your PhD?
I think I'm not a good example. I just start to think about during the start of the last year of my PhD. It's a time we have to start to no matter find a job or find a postdoc positions. All my classmates, they have all people just start to do these things. So I just do that at that time. But I think the other group members in our lab now, like Panina, I'm not sure Kali, I never asked her. Panina, she's the second year. I think she have this kind of plan. I will continue to postdoc research after I get my PhD degree. I think it's a really good thing if you have this kind of plan in an earlier stage. If you start to plan that in the next year, you have to find collect all the informations, which professors I can try to contact, where they the professors may have open positions last year. They don't have open positions this year. If they contact them earlier, maybe he or she is very interested in you. He can wait for you for several months or like that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything that you know now that you wish you had known when you were applying before, or anything that you think you didn't realize that it would be like to be a postdoc until you had started?
Oh, if there's something I thought I should know earlier, is that I do know I know that now, but I didn't know that when I started to find my first postdoc, I know in China there are some postdoc scholarships, like it's a 2 years or 3 years scholarships. You have chances to work in a cooperation group, like in other areas like Hong Kong, like just different cities in China. So some of my classmates in college, they applied this kind of positions, and I think it's really this. If you can apply this kind of scholarships, that's really good. You have more choices to choose your supervisor in postdoc because you have your own funding, you have your own money, you have more choices. Actually, when I choose, so I think now I don't think Professor Xu actually is a very good choice for me. But since I don't have other choice right after graduation, since about that, I just joined his lab directly. I think you should, how to say that, like you should figure, like the university is not most important thing. Cornell, I think at that time I think, oh, Cornell is good university. Professor Chu, like I'm not sure if he is a famous professor or not. Oh, I think I didn't pay more attention to if they are really strong in doing research, if it's easier for me to get the publication, because I think publication is also very important for you to find a position in academia. I didn't think about these things. So some of my friends, like they have already maybe find a good position in academia. They are PI now. Like they may find at the very beginning, they find a lab that fit them very well. They do, I think, made more progress than me. So I think like the university, the location, maybe not the most important things you should take into consideration. You do have to think, oh, this in this lab, if you're doing postdoc research, you can get a lot of progress on that publication, which are helpful for your future development. And you have to take all these things into consideration. Oh, not just I find a position, I just go there, work for several years to have a look. Yeah.
Thank you. And I think we've got more time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions, if anybody has any.
I have another one, I guess, if no one else has more. I don't want to like take up time since I know Qinghua and can ask her these anytime. So since you've had 3 different advisors now with different styles and different size groups, has that helped you think about how you want to run your own lab in the future? Like what being a PI would mean? Like what have you taken away from all of those experiences and different advising styles?
I think the first thing come to me is that I think how professors manage the lab is something I want to learn. Like it looks like everyone in the lab, they work very hard. They like to help each other. Like they like to share their experiences to in some experiments, and to share their experiment results so that other people can learn from that. I think that's a really good thing in a lab. The environment is really good. I know Professor Liu, I think Professor Liu did that very good. The students, they are good. The group members, they are good. I think the professor, how like she manages the lab is also important.
So if you had your own lab, would you want it to be smaller? Like, do you like the size of our lab, or do you like having a lot of people?
I think so. At the very beginning, I think I'd like a small lab. Right. So I want to say like a small lab. You have four students. They all work very hard. They know very well about their studies as much better than you have 10 students in your lab, but they just in the lab. They they don't make so many progress as only 4 people, 5 people like that.
Sorry, I have like one more, I guess, follow-up thing. So you said you like how Dr. Liu manages our lab and like fosters this environment of collaboration and communication. So like, what do you think she does specifically that helps her do that? Because I've been wondering too, like I love our dynamic and I want to know or think about what she does to facilitate that, I guess.
I don't know, like she does, but I know some other professors do, I think not good. It's like that. Oh, during the individual meeting with these students, he will say, oh, why do you only make so less progress? Look at other students, why they can make like a big progress. You are both work in the lab. Do you work less hours than her, where you like you are too lazy, something like that? Just compare with other people, and not if in a group meeting. I say this kind of things. Maybe we can just ask these 2 students if they can communicate with each other, but in kind of things, you just let the students or postdoc feel very bad, feel very unconfident of like himself or herself.
If that's it for questions, it looks like we're just about out of time, but I just wanted to thank you. I really enjoyed your presentation. I thought it was very informative. And thank you for being our speaker this year.
Thank you give me this opportunity. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So with that, seminar is concluded.
Thanks, Qinghua.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Robin, are you still there?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to log off.
Did you want me? I just wasn't sure because it says recording in progress. Do I finish that out or do you do that?
When we end the meeting, it will stop. Bev just set it up to record it automatically.
Okay, no problem. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to do anything with that or not.
I don't think I can. Maybe I can.
No, no worries. I don't mind. I just wasn't sure since I was moved to host if I was supposed to do something or if I should just leave it.
Can you go down at the bottom where it says record? Do you have that option?
Yeah.
Click on it and end it.